Hi everyone, I wanted to send you a quick video about what we did in math today. We worked on expressing fractions as decimals and also decimals as fractions. And some of them are a little easier to do than others, and so I wanted to show you some different types of problems that we did today. So if we have 1/5, what we talked about was that we don't have a place value called fifths, but we do have tenths and hundredths. So I know how to find an equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 10 or 100. So since 10 is close to 5, I'm just going to set this up and make it have a denominator of 10. So 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/5 is equivalent to 2/10. And just saying that fraction, I know how to write that as a decimal. It's 2/10. Or we've talked about how 20 hundredths is the same, so students can write it either way. We talked about this 0 at the end being a placeholder. Now if I have an improper fraction like 9/4, you have two options. You could go ahead and change it to have a denominator of 10 or 100, or you can go ahead and change it into a mixed number. So I'm going to show you changing it into a mixed number. 9 divided by 4, that goes in 2 times with a remainder of 1. So 2 1/4 is my mixed number. So 1/4, if you think of it like money, I know that a quarter, or 25 cents, is 1/4 of a dollar. Or I could just go ahead and set up my fraction, because I know that I can't make it tenths. 10 is not divisible by 4. So 25. So this is the same as 2 25 hundredths, which again, saying that fraction, I know what decimal that is. 2 25 hundredths. Now again, if I have a mixed number, we talked about thinking of that like a dollar. We're not going to forget about it. It's like $2 and 3/5 of another dollar. I'm going to focus on this fraction first and then add in that whole number. So 3/5, I can make that have a denominator of 10. So times 2, whatever I do to my denominator, I have to do to my numerator. 3 times 2 is 6. So 2 3/5 is the same as 2 6/10, which I know written as a decimal looks like this, or 2 60 hundredths. So now going from a decimal to a fraction, this one seemed to be a little bit easier because as you say the decimal, you also say the fraction. The only thing we added on today was putting it in simplest form. So I can read this decimal as 8/10. I know that looks like this. And then I know that I can simplify that. I'm going to start dividing by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 4/5 is the simplest form of 8/10. So I went from a decimal to a fraction in the simplest form. Again, just saying the decimal, 9/10, and that's already in simplest form. Now, if I have 3 45 hundredths, I can write that as a mixed number. And I have to ask myself, can I simplify that? I see I've got 100, and I see I've got a 5 in my ones place, so I'm going to go ahead and divide by 5. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. 100 divided by 5 is 20. And again, we can't forget about this whole number over here. We said it's like $3.45. So I'm going to add that 3 back. So in simplest form, 3 45 hundredths is the same as 3 9/20.